It's just after 9 p.m. Let's call it a day. So, where's the next scene? Oh. 6. Angramainu. The first year was spent deciding who to hate. For a long time he had been living in happiness. He was born in a plain, not so wealthy family. He had parents that were normal and a sister much younger than him. He woke up early in the morning, helping his father in the forest, carrying back the yield of the day to the village. That world of his was simple, his everyday life didn't change. That work had gone on for decades. His father and his father's father probably entered the forest and lived under the grace of the mountain the same way. Just like his father and grandfather, he was also going to live a dull and boring life. There was the restlessness of youth, but he knew that would leave him as the years passed. A roof to sleep under, enough food not to starve, and the warmth of his neighbors. That was all he could ever ask for. But why? Why did it have to turn out like that? Villagers were at least entitled to this dull life. It hadn't been a rich village, but it brimmed with the rightness of being able to live normally and die quietly. The other villagers weren't any different from him. The other villagers thought of him as one of them. This vexes him even now. Nothing had suddenly gone wrong. There was no mistake anywhere. The choice that was made had been, undeniably, the will of humanity, including himself. That's why it still vexes him even now. Had it at least been the will of heaven, he could have cursed God's cruelty and been done with it. Filthy demon. It came without any warning, as naturally as saying good morning to another. First, the eyes. Leaving the house, he went towards the woods like always. He said hello to a passing neighbor, but was ignored. The disaster took place in the middle of the village. Villagers he had never met surrounded him, and he would never return there again. Hey, leave the left eye. The ceremony was performed calmly. Apparently, he had been the devil himself. This fact, unknown even to him until now, left the people in grief and disgust. Finally, their anger rose up, and his fate was decided. Damn noisy he is, we should take care of the throat. There was more doubt than fear within him. Why? Why do this? Why did this happen? Why did it have to be him, of all people? After all, no matter how hard he thought about it, there wasn't trace of a pretext to be found. And on top of that, how? Yeah, as long as he can breathe, I guess. How could they do such a thing? Cut the tendons in his arms and legs. Only the tendons, mind you. His body belongs to everyone in this village. You must leave enough for everyone. Several men took care of the ceremony. Cursed by almost everyone he knew, his arms and legs lost their function even while retaining their shape. This is your punishment for not endowing our lives with abundance, they said, and they meted out appropriate punishment to every part of his body. Cut his tongue off too, as if we'd give him the satisfaction of letting him die. Insulted by many of those he knew, he was covered in filth. This is what you get for threatening our lives, they said, and every part of his body rewarded their discontent. Serves you right, you damned demon. That was the end of him as an individual human. His emotions were destroyed by the pain of losing his body. His rational mind was destroyed from the sorrow of losing his dignity. I'll slaughter you. And so, he had been kneeling for who knows how long. Not a single moan escaped him. The branch piercing through his throat had started to rot. His tongue had been ripped out long ago. His vocal organs had become inflamed after a night of screaming. People that knew him, people that didn't know him, he was abused by everyone alike. The administering of justice needs no reason. They, with their righteous anger and morals, hated the demon confined atop the mountain without an ounce of shame. The likes of you should not live, they laughed. Yet they would not even do him the kindness of killing him. Hatred begets more hatred. Going beyond terror and confusion, a hatred was eventually born within him. But who must this hatred be directed at? Why? 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 He thought and spoke this question too many times to count. Even as one of his eyes was crushed and as his fingers were cut off by some scissor-like tool, the words he managed to squeeze out of his throat were, "Why me?" None of the villagers would tell him. "Please stop. Please send me back. Please save me." He did not put voice to those wishes he had already given up hope on. He had accepted it when the last of his fingers and toes, the big toe on his left foot, was cut off by the person who had once been his father. He had only a single wish left. Why me? That question alone was his final request, but nobody would tell him. The moment he realized the answer, he became a real demon. There was no reason as to why he was a demon. There was no reason for him to be chosen as a sacrifice. To begin with, the village elders, the people in power, never even knew him. Anyone would have been fine. It was not that he was hated because of his sins. Neither was he isolated because of his good deeds. As a completely dull, ordinary person, he was chosen completely by chance. Just for the sake of a one-day luxury, people he never met ended the life of a human that they never knew. That's all there is to it. Merely to fulfill the desires of a single night, his life, fostered well for decades, was trampled upon and crushed. This world is governed by things that are not people. The moment he realized that, he decided upon the target of his hatred. All the evil in the world. Angra Mainyu. The revered effigy thus became a genuine demon. An egg that will never hatch. An anti-hero of this small world that would rid it of all sins. He had no limbs to struggle in pain. His limbs were completely severed. Only his heart was still alive. No arms, no legs, no dignity left. He had no functions as a human, but his sense of pain alone had yet to fail him. He took on a countless amount of hatred, while bringing forth hatred just as infinite. His collapsed personality gained order in its own broken way. He was stone. Never going outside the stone prison, his body wasn't allowed to move at all. The eyelid of his remaining left eye was fixed, not allowing it to close. His dry, cracked eyeball continued to stare at the outside world. He was just like a stone statue that was conscious. Without taking a single step, he watched the unchanging scenery for a month, a year, decades. He could neither avert nor close his eyes. The treatment that would make him forget the fact that he was still alive before the tedium sickened his mind would, in fact, continue until his death. What frightened him, however, was the fact that this torture, difficult to bear for even a single day, would last for his entire lifetime. A healthy person's sanity would surely fall apart in no more than 7 days. What allowed him to endure it, what preserved his soul, was the fact that his sanity had already been broken. Unchanging scenery wouldn't break him. That which spread beneath his eye was his hometown. The people that called him a demon as they turned him into a real one. The village that the hatred came from, he had an unbroken view of it all. A repulsive mass of goodwill, prospering by sacrificing the weak. He will continue to hate as long as he lives. This absurdity. The hidden repulsiveness of mankind. The overly tolerant world that approved of it. All that's left in the stone prison is the hatred that has been scorched in. Neither the personality nor the body that once belonged to him are in here. The soul in his physical body was annihilated long ago. It has already become something else. Only the hatred born from within him continues to smolder within his body even to this day. Who knows how many years passed like that? To him, having lost his sense of time, the world continued its dizzying transformation even as it stagnated. The ties he had from back when he was human were no exception. The people that chose him, the people that took away his legs and arms, the people that were his blood relatives, the people that hated him, the people that he loved. Their hatred did not last as long as that held by the human they sacrificed. Those who stole everything from him disappeared from this world before he did. Like shooting stars. The strong, merciless flicker of the ever-coming days burned into his eyeball. For a long time, he was left in that sunny spot. He saw so many lives, the result of too many meaningless lives, consuming time and space, burning up their own lives recklessly, bearing children, amassing riches, yet ending without a trace. Hollow as they may have been, they were not void. Although they ended, it wasn't as though they did not continue. The wheel of time keeps turning. Lives wither, then bloom again. The cycle of prosperity and decay. The scenery before him kept on spinning. There were times of destruction overrun by believers of a different faith. There were times of expansion, taking in fresh blood. Throughout it all, he continued to stare with hatred. Hatred was the only means by which he could connect to it. There is evil atop this mountain, breathing malice into all of us. That became a teaching passed down in the village since old times. As long as there was hatred, as long as he was hated, he would not die. The new villagers hated, worshipped, and thanked him as their everyday enemy. The young man who had become the demon didn't even exist there anymore. Hatred that gave birth to nothing. A blank space that existed to help life advance smoothly, day after day. An open hole in their everyday life, a dumping ground that received all their overflowing emotions. What a convenient, false void that could never become anything. That village, too, disappeared in a flash. Neither decaying nor prospering. Times changed, people changed, and the mountain village, having fulfilled its role, went back to being an open field. Everything he hated disappeared without a trace. His name and body had been lost, and he had even lost sight of his soul. And in the end, even hatred left him behind. And yet, he is still connected to this place. Many years passed. People perished, the village perished, but even after his own body died, he cannot move from here. The hatred burned into this place is unchanging and undying. As long as the world of humans continues on, it will exist forever. In this empty wasteland, forever gazing at the end of the world. And like that, I finally open my eyes. I jump to my feet off the couch. My head throbs painfully, the chaos doesn't stop, and the room that I should already be used to appears as though a battlefield in the middle of a bombing. Standing up, I run while swinging my right arm. I move my arm as recklessly as a person on fire and head to a corner of the room while shaking off my delusions. And in the corner there is my servant, sitting down like always. I have neither the composure nor affection to answer him. I push him aside, having no clue what I am trying to do myself, and stand in front of the mirror. The figure looking back at me is exactly the same as it was back when I stood here for the first time. There are no irregularities. There is nothing wrong with me whatsoever. But, if I remember correctly, when I first saw this mirror, I felt uneasy. What happened to that arm of yours?
腕。私の左手。
I feel dizzy. Something that was locked away comes pouring out. That's right, I noticed it at that time. There's something extra on the me reflected in the mirror, and something that should be there is missing. What made that uneasiness so vague?
落ち着いたか。なら、さっさと続きをしようぜ。お互い、やられっぱなしは性に合わねえだろ、マスター。
Was it not the servant that's now laughing behind me? I keep staring at the reflection in the mirror. My disordered mind, unable to bear the concentration, sends me into another bout of vertigo. And there, within my vision, flashing on and off, I see a terrible image. My ragged breathing starts to calm down. I touch my left arm with my right hand. It's only an illusion. The left arm is certainly there. But so is a lingering feeling of discomfort that I can't seem to erase.
何？腕、どうかしたのか？
A voice from behind me. My mind, having just settled down, picks up speed once again.
別に何も。そんなことより、あなた。
I turn around. Opening my eyes, I look firmly at him. Oh, the boy laughs like a clown. This is the first time we see his real appearance, huh? What's with all these tattoos? That face. Perhaps it might be familiar to someone other than me.
そうか。昼間のうちに他のマスターに会ったんだな。
He knows. The servant knew everything from the beginning. I realized that long ago, yet I still...
だから昼間は出歩くなって忠告したのに。まあしょうがねえか。あのお嬢さんの話は本当だぜ。あんたが派遣された聖杯戦争はもう半年も前に終わっている。
I still wanted to trust this servant.
では、この聖杯戦争を起こしているのは
俺たち以外に誰がいる？いや、大体聡明なあんたのことだ。そんなのはすぐに気づいたはずだ。なのに自分をごまかして記憶さえ閉じ込めて一生懸命おままごとを続けやがった。しかしまあそれもこれですっきりだ。もういいだろうマスター。この茶番はさ、聖杯戦争を続けたいあんたが引退した連中を引き戻して遊んでいるだけってわけだ。
Wicked laughter. He's getting on my nerves. He's getting on my nerves. He's getting on my nerves. Getting on my nerves.
私を騙していたのか、アベンジャー。
人聞きの悪い。単にあんたが聞かなかっただけだろう。5回目の聖杯戦争がどうなったのかを聞いてくれれば、あんたがどうやって殺されたか教えてやったのに。
How she... what? It hurts. My chaos-filled head hurts. My eyeballs that glare at him hurt. My disordered breathing hurts. And above all, a throbbing pain in my left arm as if it's just been amputated.
苦しいか？だが大丈夫。あんたならすぐに落ち着くさ。きっかけはあっけなかったが、気づいたのならこれで。
The shadow holds his hand out. The feeling of my left arm shoots through my brain.
僕も今まで
I trusted him. I thought of him as of a comrade.
お前も私を裏切ったんだ。
The moment I let loose those words, I lose all rational thought. Just being there, unable to bear even my own existence, I ran out, my feet taking me somewhere on their own. As if just running away. My torn memories, the left arm spilling invisible blood, they have taken all rational thought away from me. I can't remember. I certainly heard it, yet I still can't recall the conversation I had with that girl. Dead, she said. Someone had died and the Fifth Holy Grail War was over. Died? Who? I fled back then too. Not even hearing that the Holy Grail War ended was enough to disturb me. So how did such a trifle end up destroying me so thoroughly? I run. I have nowhere to go, yet I'm running towards one very certain place. My left arm feels like it's being torn off. The sense of pain invades my mind, causing endless chaos and confusion. I, who left my hometown, an antique that had no place in the association. I was driven further and further into a corner as I tried to find my worth and could not. After leaving my hometown far behind, I then realized just how much I loved it, yet I could not go back. I had nothing definite, my own self was still vague. I built up an imposing exterior and nothing more, and on that day, for the first time, I saw strength I could rely on. Not needing anyone. I selfishly admired that, thinking how much easier my life would be if I could be the same. I cringe in pain. I have morphine in my bag. This would be the first time I've ever wanted a painkiller, but I can't inject it into my left arm, so I'd rather have it right in my spine. That way, it would hit my brain right away and I can forget everything. Forget it, forget all about it. I don't want to hear about who died. I came to this town as a master. I couldn't care less about that man. But why was I the one chosen? Bazet Fraga McRamitz is a sealing designation enforcer. Any way you slice it, a Holy Grail war in a faraway eastern land is definitely outside of her jurisdiction. There has to be a reason. There has to be another reason I'm here. That reason made me so happy. I was so happy to be able to meet him again after all these years. I'm a mess. Who died?